Yes.
Okay, so before formally starting, as you have been doing since last 2-3 days, so this is also part of your sharing your learning of the course of silviculture, and you'll get feedback towards the after today's presentation at the end, overall, just to save time. And also you can also give feedback or suggestion to your friends. So you should also keep note of things that you want to ask or discuss, so to make it more interactive, right? So without any further delay, Yugen sir, ke bhannu chahनुहुन्छ as a course MSc coordinator, please. Otherwise,
I have told before 2 days ago the same voice of top paper of MSc. I think it is just article or paper for publishing as a journal, international or national or anywhere. So you prepared kinds of paper, not explanatory text, so many text. You review the literature at least 30 plus or 40 plus. So it should be published anywhere. So your starting period, or I think it is your second subject. So remaining more than 50 subjects, you should at least 3 or 4 paper prepared. So best of luck today presentation, Sanjeev sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it is very important. Thank you, Yogan sir, for highlighting it. Actually, you can also publish your paper, based on your review. So there are so many reviews, review article, and if you do like a PhD, normally what the professor asks you to publish your first paper as a review paper. So what have already been done, and what is the gap in the theme, what is the knowledge gap, and where you can contribute further. So it is very important point that you insert has just highlighted. So I hope you keep in mind in while presenting this one, and also for the remaining modules, as Yugan said, sir already advised. So without further ado, I think let's begin from Muna Chaudhary. Okay, Munaji, you can. And Susan, let us know when you are able to present.
I'm audible, sir?
Yes, audible, visible. Go ahead.
Good afternoon to faculty members and my batchmates. I'm Muna Chaudhary. I am from the student of MSc Forestry, Institute of Forestry, Hetauda campus, Hetauda. Today I am here to give short presentation on the term paper topic, regeneration of plantation failure in Nepal. Let's move on the next slide. My outline of presentation start with introduction and ends with the references. Introduction. As we know that a long history dating back to the Vedic period have shown that the people used to plant the trees for various purposes, such as religious and food, fruit yielding purposes. We have renowned with the topic term plantation, which is generally related to the artificial vegetation and defined as the forest crop artificially raised either by sowing or planting. Since the Rana regime, they used to plant the trees like native species such as Eucalyptus, Cangio, Ginkgo biloba, etc., and exotic species for aesthetic and beauty purpose is if you look over the history of the plantation, afforestation and reforestation program was a pioneer program to reduce the denuded hills of Nepal, which were started in 1970, and large scale plantation was started in early 1980. Various policies such as forest policy 2015, forest decade campaign 2014 to 2024, and master plan for Sure conservation with the most remarkable policies to promote the plantation in different areas of the country. Is the forest decade campaign has set a remarkable target to restore 26,000 hectares of the degraded land of Tarai and Sure region, mainly in Nepal. In Tarai region, Sisok, Khair, etc. species were mostly planted, whereas in the hills area, Pinus species such as Gobra Shalla, Rani Shalla, Patula Shalla, Japanese Shalla are established mostly in the mid hills of Nepal. Fiscal year 2019 and 2020 has declared as the year of plantation by the government of Nepal, because they have planned to they had planned to plant 50 million trees to restore the degraded area, increase forest coverage, and reduce the impact of the climate change. Significance of the study mainly discussed within the 3 points is various research conducted by the various researchers concluded that there is a lack of precise data regarding the number of plantation and its established in Nepal. As we have already know that plantation failures was the main challenge in the past. Inappropriate governance frameworks and inadequate use of the knowledge, techniques and technology failure in Nepal, but still there are underlying causes leading the plantation failure in Nepal. If you look over this picture, this describes that there is lack of precise data of periodic plan starting from 2054 to 2059 to 2073 to 2073. This describes there is a lack of precise data of a plantation area in Nepal. Objective of term paper is to review the reasons of plantation failure in Nepal and to summarize the suggestion recommended by various resources in different articles journals for successful plantation and its establishment. As my methodology starts with the review of secondary data sources that include the various published and unpublished articles, books, and online sources. Those literature were reviewed to achieve the objective of my term paper. As in result and discussion, I have categorized the causes of plantation failure in Nepal in 2 categories. First one is before plantation, and second one is after the plantation. If you look over the ability of the quality seeds, that is quality tree from quality seeds, as there is a lack of there is a random seed collection from the from qualityless seed sources such as the seed production area, breeding seed orchards. And if you look over the quality and species of seedlings, there is a no ability of the seedling of a specific size, species, quality, and healthy seedlings. Due to this, there is a main causes of the plantation failure in Nepal. To increase the plantation success in Nepal, we have to operate the nursery in whole-year plant nursery, management of those nurseries, and the production and management of the multi-year seedling production whole year. If you look over the transportation of seedlings and stocks, there is a most challenging problem in this area. Grabbing of seedlings, stems, and leaves instead of grabbing of poly bags causes the damage to the seedlings. During transportation, there is chance of a separation of the seedlings from the poly bag. There is chance of a separation of the soil and the roots of seedling due to lack of wetting the soil during the transportation. So there should be a proper care, attention, and management during the transportation, such as we have before transportation of 2 to 3 days. There should be a reimbursement of the adequate amount of the water, and before the 1 day transport, we have to supply little amount of water for the survival of the seedlings, such as the grabbing of the seedlings of polygaps rather than the grabbing their stems and leaves, which increases the mortality of the seedlings. And before and during the as I've already discussed that during the transport we have to irrigate the seedlings for the increasing the survival of the seedling bundles. If you look over the after the plantation, during plantation there is a chance of a separation of the roots. We have to plant the seedlings without without the removal of bags, which increases the mortality of the species, as there is a disturbance of the root system of the seedlings with the soil. Planting of seedlings containing the bags in a big size pits, which increases also the mortality of the species. Planting of the seedling with a bending of roots without the stating of the stem also increases the survival or also increases the mortality of the species. Seedling species. Within protection and management aspect, if you look over the protection aspect, there is a challenge of the fire, uncontrolled grazing, uncontrolled anthropogenic disturbances. If you look over the management aspect, there is no continued operation of the weeding, cleaning, shrub cutting, climber cutting, enrichment planting, and casualty displacement. There is also a great challenge of displacement of the planted species by natural regeneration, as one of the researchers has said that where species are generally replaced by the Eucalyptus camaldunensis and Tectonagandres in the Rangpur district, in the Rangpur area of the Rohtak district. Dryness and moisture stress is also one of the main challenges as we planted during the late seasons or without suitability test of those species in a specific site. There is also consideration of the forest water according to the necessity, as we know that community forestry, some poor community forest cannot accommodate the forest water. So it is also one of the main problem for the causes of the plantation failure. Pest and disease attack and heavy frosting and drought is also one of the causes for the plantation failure in Nepal. As there are many suggestions recommended for successful plantation and establishments. If you look over the before plantation seed collection, we have to collect the seed from the quality seed production area and BSO, as a quality tree comes from the quality seeds, and we have to import certified and quality seeds certified by the entrepreneur. If you look over the seedling, we have to specify the size of the seedling species and its quality and its healthiness. If we do not consider it, there will be chance of the plantation failure. If you look over the polythene bags, biodegradable bags is preferred to polythene bags, because the biodegradable bags is environmental friendly, reduce the pollution and increases the survival rate of the species, as it doesn't disturb the root system of the seedlings. Hardening, we have to harden the seedlings more than a year, as it is recommended by the researchers that it helps to adapt the various species in adverse climatic condition and adverse site condition. There should be proper care while transportation of seedlings, loading of the seedlings or loading of seedlings. Therefore, there will be less mortality in that sector. If you look over the high-tech nursery, in high-tech nurseries, there is quality seed production of fast-growing and multi-purpose species. Multi-year seed production is one of the also objective of the high-tech nursery. If you look over the after plantation, awareness and diligence in not only in policy and family, we also focus on the protection aspect and management aspect. For the protection,
okay, you have to be quick.
And the casualty assessment and weeding, regular policy level discussion should be considered, and the post operative will be also one of the important suggestions recommended by the various researchers. Conclusion. There is still underlying causes of plantation failure, so we have to follow the suggestion recommended for the successful establishment and the successful plantation. multi-year plantation campaign based on the plantation objectives, site suitability, meeting the community and market demand. We have to select the appropriate species. As I have already discussed, the biodegradable polybags prefer than the polythene bags, so it should be considered, and use of scientific and technical techniques for the plantation, and regular monitoring, as I have already discussed in post approach. These are my references, which are taken from the literature review of the various secondary data sources. If you have any constructive query and suggestions are highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Muna, for your presentation. And I think we will do the question answer and suggestion at the end, towards the end, after the all presentations. If I think that will be more efficient for time-wise.
Thank you,
so,
sir.
Okay, so
I will stop, sir. Sharing.
Okay, yeah, you can stop sharing, and then next is Subhas Kuswaha. Subhas,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you can start on choice of suitable plantation stock for Zurich.
Hello, good afternoon to all respected teachers and all the participants, my dear friends. Today I am going to present the topic choice of suitable plantation stock for Ture. Now, Ture region, it has a distinct biogeographical and biophysical specificity, and it is the youngest mountain in the world. And the Ture region has extreme fragile ecosystem. It due to the mass erosion, landslide, and other environmental externality, which makes the Ture regions vulnerable. Although large parts of the Ture region are still under forest, the rate of deforestation and the land use change is very high in the Ture region. As we all know that the people residing on the Ture region has a great dependency on the forest. It has a critical ecosystems. Low-income people depend highly on the forest as well as other natural resources for their livelihood. Due to deforestation, forest land fragmentations, and encroachment and other anthropogenic activity, the region is highly vulnerable to erosions as well as other geological activities. According to Atari, afforestation and reforestation program was started in 1970s to restore the denuded hills in Nepal. The study of the plantation stock in the Ture region has the objective to explore the conservation measure practiced to restore the conditions and the problem of plantations in the Ture. Methods. The source of data and information is solely based on secondary data, which is from published articles as well as unpublished articles. Study area. This term paper is prepared especially focusing the Ture zone, which run parallel to the Himalaya range from east to west, which covers about 12.8% of Nepal total land area. More than 70% of the land is covered in forest. Here is the map of Nepal showing the Ture regions from east to west and the covering district. Results and discussions. According to Atari, the Trictona grandis, Eucalyptus cameloensis, Dalbergia siso, and Acacia catechu were found in the Tarai district, which were planted at large scale in the Rangapur of Rautahar district and the Savaya collaborative forest of Porsa district. The Michaelia champaca and Melia azrax and Terminalia alata and Cinnamon tamala has been mostly planted in the Ture regions, which belongs to mid hills. And nowadays, the plantation of bambusa species has been started for the conservation of riverside as well as other landslide areas, as well as in the bioengineering activities. According to the BICEP project, it has covered a large area and has promoted the plantation program. Most of the plantations is being done with the polybag seedlings and followed by root shoot cutting. Most of the plantations is done with site selections is also considered as one of the problem faced in the plantation site. Most of the plantation failure has caused due to the wrong site selections. The size of a seedling was also observed another problem faced in the plantation site, mostly in the Ture regions. Unavailability of preferred species and the low quality of planting stock and difficulty of small holders in assessing the seedling from nursery has been identified as the major reasons for the failure of plantations in the Ture regions. Now, conclusions. Limited connections was observed between the seedling productions and the choice of species as per the soil quality requirement of the plantation block and people preference. As the people residing on the Ture regions has the preference has given on several fodder species. Most of the planting materials were single year seedlings, and due to lack of hardening up of the seedling to tolerate the adverse climatic conditions, higher percentage of mortality was observed during the dry seasons of next consecutive year. Pre-monsoons and or early monsoons plantations was observed comparatively successful as the seedling of such plantations and got longer growing period in the first year of plantations. As we know that the plantations in Nepal has been carried since from just 15. As it has a disturbing factor, several disturbing factors in which the grazing was found as a measure. Now, the lack of tending operation was observed in the plantation block as well as. Now, here you can see that the proper size of fitting has also caused the failure of plantations. Now, thank you. Here is the end of my presentations. Any queries and suggestions are heartily welcome.
Okay, good. Next, whose turn is it? Sweta? Miss Sweta Jha. I think, yeah, is there. Sweta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So it's your turn now.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected MSc coordinator, sir, course coordinator, sir, and all my batchmates. It's me, Sweta Jha, to deliver my term paper presentation of silviculture and forest genetics on the assigned topic seed orchards in Nepal and its management. Now, heading towards the presentation. For the forest technician, every year there is a problem of getting seeds of desired characteristics. To sort out this problem, seed orchards are there for getting the genetically improved seeds. Seed orchards are designed and managed to produce seeds of superior quality compared to those obtained from the seed production areas, seed stands, or unimproved stands. The main theme of the seed orchard is to produce consistent, abundant, easily harvestable, and desired quality seeds. Seed orchards are the important seed sources and are essential for the global tree improvement studies. According to the Larson 1956, the first studies using seed orchards were performed in 1934 using vegetative production technique. Since then, seed orchards have become an important global seed source. Seed orchards must reflect the genetic diversity of the original population and be sufficiently large to maintain the genetic diversity for future generation. The strong genetic diversity in seed orchard trees can only be attained when all the parents contribute equally to the gamete pool. Seed orchards are categorized according to the generation of breeding, that is first generation, second generation, and third generation, and the type of the material used, that is the seedling seed orchard or clonal seed orchard. Seedling seed orchard are raised from seeds of plus trees, whereas clonal seed orchards are raised from the vegetative parts of the plus trees or from selected clones propagated by grafting, budding, ear layering, or rooting of the cuttings. Seed orchard establishment parameters are nature of the material, that is seedling or the clone material, orchard size and design, number of parents, and the representation. And the biological factors include the reproductive energy and success of the seeds, reproductive phenology, and rates of selfing and gene flow. All these things act individually to influence the genetic quality of the seed crops. The objective of my term paper presentation is to overview the seed orchard establishment and management in Nepal. The methodology is based on the secondary data sources, which includes published and unpublished articles, books, and online sources. Finding and discussion. Establishment of the breeding seed orchard in Nepal. According to the source by P.R. Tamrakar, State of Forest Genetic Resources Conservation and Management in Nepal. In Nepal, breeding seed orchards of Alvesia lebec, Azadiracta indica, Coriospandius axillaris, Dalbergia latifolia, Dalbergia siso, and Michaelia champaca have been established in different parts of the country. A minimum of 25 plus trees of each species were selected from the natural stands to reduce the risk of inbreeding depression. The first breeding seed orchard of Nepal was established of Dalbergia siso, which was replicated in 3 districts of Nepal, that is Chitwan, Sunsari, and Banke. Physiological and environmental conditions that promote seed production. Good growth conditions in general promote good flowering. The ecological factors that promote flowering, fruiting are optimal soil conditions, which includes pH, fertility, drainage, optimal climate, optimal condition for pollination, that is the pollinating agent, synchronized flowering, reduced root competition, reduced crown competition. The establishment and management of seed orchards are influenced by the size and longevity of the seed orchard. The size of the seed orchard is determined by the seed demand or expected seed production from the orchard. A minimum of 15 to 25 clones or families are established to assure sufficient genetic base and to limit the selfing between the trees. A seed orchard will be successful as long as the trees are physiologically reproductive. Location of the seed orchard. Selection of appropriate site for the seed orchard will help the management during and after the establishment. Spacing of the trees in the seed orchard. Trees in seed orchard should have wider spacing than the normal plantation. For most of the species, spacing after rugging of about 10 meters is preferred, that is 100 trees per hectare. Site preparation and establishment of orchard, which includes the clearing of the land, planting, beating up, etc. Orchard design. The general requirement in the orchard design are to minimize the selfing, maximize the outcrossing and mating of all the genotypes, simple and easy establishment and management. The most frequently used design are completely randomized design and randomized complete block design. In completely randomized design, all the available gametes of all clones or all families are randomly distributed. in RCBD or randomly complete block design, area is divided into equally sized blocks, which include one ramette of each clone or one member of each family. Silvicultural management of the seed orchard. The species-specific requirements for the seed requires include the climate, soil, topography, altitude. Management requirements include accessibility to the site, labor availability, close to the administration, gentle topography. The seed orchard should be established with the good management. The protection should be against the strong wind, fire, illegal logging, fuel wood collection, and destroying animals. And the specific orchard requirements include isolation from the pollen contamination, establishment of the pollen dilution zones. And other site requirements include the land tenure, possible future land requirement. The site preparation. We all know that better the site is prepared before planting, easier will be the future management. The site preparation includes the soil preparation, establishment of the pollen dilution zones, promotion of the pollination, demarcation of the plot and rows, demarcation of pits and pitting, planting, beating up. Silvicultural management of the seed orchards. Special care should be given to the plants during the first year of establishment, during which they are especially vulnerable. Weeding. Plants should not be affected from weed competition during the establishment. Weeds should be cut or completely removed. Rugging. Once the result of the progeny test is available, the undesired families or ramettes are caught and removed. Thinning and pruning. Fertilization and watering. Flower induction. If flowering fails or is unsatisfactory, it may be induced or promoted by imposing stress or applying flower-inducing hormones during flower differentiation. The government of Nepal has established the breeding seed orchards for 27 species in 18 districts occupying 46.1 hectares. The Silvicultural Division, formerly known as Tree Improvement and Silvicultural Unit, formed under the Department of Forest, established 27 breeding seedling orchards and established 38 seed stands of socially and economically important tree species in various ecoregions to conserve the genetic resources of the species, and also has a plan for in situ gene pool conservation of the BJSR as its population in natural habitats is continuously declining. The Tree Improvement and Silviculture Unit was started as a national tree seed project in 1982. The tree species having breeding seed orchards in 18 districts of Nepal is shown here in the figure. Now conclusion. Seed orchards are by far the most frequently used sexually reproducing forestry production population in the world. The seed orchards should be established with the good management and knowledge on specific requirements and must be placed as far as possible with stands of the same species or species with which they can hybridize. Breeding seed orchid have been found as a robust, efficient means of implementing seed delivery-oriented tree improvement activities in Nepal. Orchid seeds yield good forest and also provide more protection against disease or insect catastrophe, adapt well to varying site and soil conditions, and enhance biological diversity because they contain the offspring of carefully selected superior plants. Now, recommendation. Conservation of the BJSR and other endangered species like Sati Sal through seed orchid establishment, as its population in natural habitat is continuously declining. Private sector should be motivated in seed production program and should carry out the role in improving our future breeding program and seed production. A wide range of assessment regarding seed orchid in Nepal should be undertaken to address the seed production. Selection of the appropriate site for the seed orchid will help the management during and after the establishment. These are some of the references from which I have prepared my term paper. Thank you. Any question or suggestion are heartily welcome.
Okay, thank you, Sweta, for your very timely presentation. We have just finished within 10 minutes. So I think very well done, as Anisha has already commented. So next, I think Angel. Angel Gautamji.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, your turn is now. Okay.
Welcome and namaste, respected teachers and my dear friends. It's me, Angel Gaudam. My topic of term paper is influence of forest on local influence of forest on local climate. And the outline of my presentation goes through introduction and ends with conclusion. Introduction: forest covers affects the absorption, reflection, and transmission of lights and heat from surface of the earth and of the water from the forest canopy due to process of evaporation and transpiration. On the global scale, only very large area of forest appears to have a noticeable effect on climate and rainfall, although small areas of the forest do have some effects on local microclimates. The influence of forest on the environment forms part of vast and complex relationship. Objective: the main objective of my term paper is to overview the influence of forest on local climate. Methodology is totally based on secondary data source, and this paper is based on secondary data source from various published and unpublished papers and articles and with textbook. Result and discussion: the forest influence concerned with water, such as precipitation, soil, temperature, and wind. The influence of forest on local climate goes through influence of forest on precipitation, influence of forest on air temperature, influence of forest on soil, influence of forest on nutrient cycle, and influence of forest on wind. First of all, influence of forest on precipitation. Forest cover profoundly influence evaporation of water from the land. The forested mountains increased precipitation with increase in elevations to much greater degree than denuded mountain hills. Influence of forest on air temperature. Air of the forest is cooler and moist than the air in the open. Forest lowers the daily mean temperature in the spring and summer and raises slightly in autumn and winter. Influence of forest on soil. Forest soil with its overlying organic layer is capable of holding most water per unit area than soil in open. Forest, by reducing the surface runoff and increasing infiltration, extends the time over which precipitation reaches streams, thus controlling floods. Influence of forest on nutrient cycling. Decompositions of plant litter involves the physical, biological, and chemical process that reduce the litter to carbon dioxide, ammonia, water, and mineral nutrients. The litter on the forest floor acts as input-output system of nutrients, and the rate of which forest litters falls and subsequently increase. Influence of forest on wind. Forest can defect wind and reduce the wind velocity. Conclusion: forests play important role in the lives of the local people as a source of fuel, food, fodder, as well as maintaining ecology and environment of the local climate. Many areas having forest were being influenced rather than non-forest area. Thank you. Queries and suggestions are invited.
Okay, Angel, thank you for a very short presentation. So you have finished within 5 minutes. So it's very efficient. But yeah, I think you should have presented also in general. I'll also give a comment at the end, but you'll get a lot of data on it. You can get. So even if you have seen slides, I think it was the part of the course that I taught. So as you already presented, and we'll discuss later. No problem. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you.
So next, I think Datendraji.
Yes, sir, welcome, sir. I'm here.
Okay, so your turn is now.
May I start, sir?
Yes, please. We can see and hear you, so we can see your slides.
No problem.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Okay, namaste and good afternoon, respected faculty members, sirs, and dear my colleagues. Here I am present for the presentation of my term paper on the topic of plantation of forest seedlings on Suri Derunate Hills for the partial position of the subject silviculture and forest genetics. These are the outline of my presentation from introduction to the final refer to the references. Introduction. What is the plantation? It is mainly artificial regenerated method and defined as forest crop raised artificially either by sowing or planting. And forest plantation are grown to supply raw materials for industry and for other uses such as fuel. Forest plantations are used in combating desertification, absorbing carbon to offset carbon emissions, protecting soil and water, rehabilitating lands exhausted from other land uses, providing rural employment. And it's about Suri area. Suri areas are the first and last regions in the Himalayan mountain system. They rise abruptly from the Indo-Gangetic plains and cover an area of about 1.35 million hectares. That is 34.4% of the total land area from MS 2008 and 2015. It is geologically young and composed of unconsolidated loose metals originated from the subtropics, i.e. mudstones, sandstones, siltstone, and so. Soils are mostly shallow, coarse textures and the form in the sediment rocks. And now it's about the for plantation in Suri in Nepal. Dead areas seen in Suri are the result of activities such as deforestation and shifting cultivation. The mainly people are traveling to the facilitated area from the mountain area to the Suri area. The policies, programs, and projects have been contributing in the conservation of Suri. Plantation has been further expanded to Terai and Suri regions, particularly since 2000, with support from the donor-funded programs. That is represented by CBST. And now this object of my top paper to review the plantations and forest seedlings in Suri area. And method is actually belongs to the secondary literature, research articles, publications, books, and websites. And now the results discussion. Regeneration. Forest regeneration is the process by which new tree seedlings become established after forest trees have been deforested, harvested, and have died from the fire, insects, and disease. Methods of regeneration. There are two types of methods for the regeneration: natural and artificial. And in artificial, reforestation and afforestation. Why we need plantation? These are the reasons for the plantation. Supplementing the natural resources, replacing the natural regeneration to restore and revegetate degraded forests, to change the crop composition and introduce fast growing and exotic species, to increase the production and meet the demand, to utilize the reclaimed wasteland, to generate employment and improve economy, to promote industrial growth, to promote the farms, forestry and agroforestry, to conserve environment. And in this way, for plantation in Suri area also is also mainly focused. Consideration needed for plantation: factors of locality and other conditions, closure, and soil preparation. In soil preparation, we should consider in contour trenches and pitches or pits. Likewise, in choice of species, method of raising plants, intending, and finally treatment of the leaves for the establishment of the planted seedlings. Legal provisions regarding plantation. Since National Forest Plan in 76 had provisions for the afforestation works, Master Plan for Suri Conservation 2017 have prioritized the plantation program to improve the forest condition and develop tree outside forests. The plantation program focuses in every fiber plants. The government has declared the ongoing decade, 2014-23, as the first decade by bid to bring noticeable improvement in urban rural greenery and to enhance existing green patches through plantation, conservation, and the building of the public parks. Plantation program in Suri is 10,100 seedlings have been planted amid in the ceremony in the Tilisar Community Forest, Sandragapur 3 Thought, one of the working areas of the sustainable land management in Suri Range. 11 August 2040, it is reported by WDF 2014. And for the fiscal year 2016-17, around 170 million NRS budget has been allocated to seedling production through development of forest to produce around 23 million seedlings. That is mainly focused for the plantation in the Tarai and Suri. Yes. And now the conclusions. For the restoration and rehabilitation of the critical forest areas of Suri, plantation is a fine option. Plantation is contributing multiple benefits to people from aesthetic to livelihood improvement. Various challenges are present in Suri area, soil erosion, overgrazing, fire construction of development activities, safety conservation, etc. Sites and choice of issues are two major factors must be considered for success in plantation activities in degraded hills slopes like Suri Hills. Forest seedlings of Mele Azrek, Michael Sampaga, Articles, Lakuka, Garcia, Mainstina, Ligan, and Legislature are some of the suitable issues for the plantation in the Suri Hills as degraded hills. Now these are the references which I have reviewed. Okay, thank you for your patience and constructive comments are welcome. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Goleji. You finished within 10 minutes, so that's good. And then we can continue, and you can stop sharing, and we'll discuss on it if we have anything specific or general so on the presentation. Okay, so next I think Susila Bhatta. I didn't see her. Are you there, Susila ji? If not, may I request Manoj Kumar Mandal ji?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, perfectly. Dotenji, you can stop sharing your slides.
Yes,
so that Manoj ji can proceed. Okay, good.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Manoj. And your slide is also coming. Yes, I think you are on mobile phone. That's fine.
Yes, there is no internet, so I am using my mobile, sir, today.
No problem. As long as we can see your slides, that's fine. Yes.
Is my short slide visible, sir?
Yes, you can start.
May I start now?
Sure, go ahead. Yes,
Thank you,
Manoj,
sir.
start.
Namaste and good afternoon. Namaste and good afternoon. Respected campus chief, sir, MSc coordinator, sir, module coordinator, sir, committee member, and all my dear batchmates. My name is Manoj Kumar Mandal, and I am here to present my term pair presentation on the topic reclamation of river damaged area through regeneration. And presentation outline: introduction, objective, methodology, result and discussion, conclusion, and references. Moving on to introduction. Land degradation may occur through different physical, chemical, and biological processes induced directly or indirectly by human activities like deforestation, shifting cultivation, overgrazing, steep slope farming, overuse of chemical fertilizers, and forest resources. Land reclamation is the recovery of land that have been degraded by human activities or impaired by natural phenomena. Plantation on a degraded land not only maximize volume and fulfill the forest product requirement, but also contribute to forest landscape restoration. Beside pine plantation, a bamboo plantation is also a viable option for forest landscape restoration. Unproductive farmland are subsequently abandoned as wasteland that could potentially regenerate to forest, but natural recovery in areas subjected to intensive anthropogenic impact is very slow because of soil degradation, recurrent disturbance, and isolation from intact forest. A new equilibrium state is commonly reached when set intolerant grasses or fern invade the deforested area and become dominant in the altered environment. Uh, Heb- Hebara et al. Describe the difference between natural regeneration, survival of fallen seed, and artificial regeneration and growth of seedling planted as important distinction to be made concerning reclamation of unused or degraded forest land as planting of unsuitable species was not beneficial. Afforestation of marginal land has relied primarily on native species, with a special emphasis on high-value lumber species being favored for both food value and wildlife habitat. Moving on to interim objective. The main objective of my term paper is to overview the river dam induced degraded forest land and its reclamation by a regeneration effort. Meteorology. Secondly, data source that includes various published and unpublished articles, books, and online sources were used in order to achieve the objective of my term paper. Moving on to result and discussion. Adjustment operation intervention. It is most difficult to regenerate the river damaged area due to the low productivity and organic content in such soil is very low. Soil is more acidic and also the site preparation in such area is too difficult. Hence, various adjustment or interventions needs to be done in order to promote regeneration in such area. Soil preparation. Control burning is applied. Modern tools and techniques such as tractor and excavators are used in preparing land for planting and large scale production. Digging pit holes and deposition of topsoil from the well established plantation site to promote regeneration. Improving soil fertility. Maintenance and enhancement of soil fertility is vital for global food security and environmental sustainability. Agroforestry system can enhance soil fertility and increase the sustainability of agriculture production. Several techniques exist, nitrogen, fixing trees, applying green manures, especially herbaceous legumes, and commercial fertilizers enhance soil fertility. And the choice of species. The species that can add nitrogen to the soil as well as provide products wanted by the local communities should be selected. Species with food flood tolerant species should be emphasized. The suitable species for those purpose of plantation in the potential land reclaimed area were Khayar, Acacia catutu, Dalbergia siso, Acacia nilotica, Trivia nudiflora, together with eucalyptus and bambusa species. Now, techniques of reclamation. After the application of adjustment and intervention in degraded land, activities regarding regeneration, promotion, and its management are performed. Bioengineering practice. River bioengineering is the best way to re-establish riparian vegetation in highly disturbed river bank site. Live plants and other natural materials have been used for centuries to control erosion problems on slopes and along river banks in different parts of the world. Plantation. Eucalyptus, shiso, khayar, babul plantation. It is in compost mixed mud filled pits. Dalbergia shiso could be successfully intercropped with Gia maize, Solanum tuberosum, Cajanus, and uh, Caesolus vulgaris in flood affected areas. Assisted natural regeneration. Assisted natural regeneration is a simple low-cost forest restoration method that can effectively convert deforested land of degraded vegetation to more productive forest. The method aims to accelerate rather than replace a natural successional process by removing or reducing barriers to natural forest regeneration, such as soil degradation, competition with weedy species, and recurring disturbances. Example: fire, grazing, and woody harvesting. Now, moving on to conclusion, regeneration, natural or artificial, in the degraded land requires site preparation, fertility improvement, and appropriate choice of species to the particular environment. Agroforestry system is proved to be handful in reclamation of river damaged area, which improves the productivity of land and provides multiple benefit to the local community. Bioengineering practice, vegetative spurs and live check dams with plantation of suitable species, Acacia catechu, Dalbergia, Siso, bamboo, etc., is proved to be successful in such areas. The appropriate use of techniques and technology is the best way to counteract the challenges in performing rehabilitation activities. Techniques consist the various skills of manpower in promoting regeneration in degraded land, and technology consists modernization tool. And these are the references. Thank you. Any queries and suggestions are heartily welcome. Thank you, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, yes. Thank you, Manojji.
Thank
You
you, sir.
can stop sharing your screen, and
Yes, sir.
then next is, I think, Sulabh Koirala.
Yes,
So
sir.
you can start. You can proceed now.
Okay, sir.
So
So good afternoon and welcome in my presentation to respected dear sir and my dear batchmates. It's Miss Sulabh Koirala, and I am here to present my term paper on the topic application of suitable silvicultural system in Chure Hills. So this is the outline of my presentation from introduction to references. So simply, in a simple language, silviculture system is just a set of activities that replace old crop with new crop, and keeping in mind that that the forest that we are about to grow is regular or irregular. It is generally the function of felling intensity, felling magnitude, felling pattern, and mode of regeneration. And there are obviously three phases, that is harvesting, regeneration, and tending. About Chure, globally, in global context, Chure is most young and fragile landscape that extends from Indus River in Pakistan to Brahmaputra River in India of length 2400 kilometers. It actually, Chure region actually incorporates, in terms of global status, Chure region actually incorporates five South Asian neighboring countries from Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. And these countries has committed to conserve Chure region, but just primarily because of river flow, because there are many rivers in these five countries. They originate from either Tibet, or they originate from either Hindu Kush Himalayas or Karakoram Himalaya. For just example, our Brahmaputra river, it originates from upper part of Tibet and it flows through India's two states, that is, it flows from India's Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, and right into Bangladesh. So if there is blockade in any blockade in Chure part, then there would be devastation and water scarcity in downstream. So it is just primary concept is just to surplus the water flow from Chure. It is from global concept. Now in terms of national concept, Chure occupies about 12.78% of country's area, extending to 37 districts. We used to study 36 districts, but now East Nolparasi is included, and that covers about 430 local level, that is Sthaniyata, out of 723 local levels, inhabiting 50 lakh people, and 50 lakh people actually makes up 14% of Nepal's population. And in terms of Chure conservation, Nepal Nepal must conserve Chure in a sense that there are many rivers flowing. Our three of the main river, that is Kornali, Kosi, and Gondaki. It flows from Himalayan mountain region right through Chure and passes through Tarai. And our 50% population of Nepal, they reside in Tarai. So Chure conservation has been main thing, and not only in terms of water flow only. There are 14 ecosystem out of 118 ecosystem in Chure region. So due to its importance and very much vulnerability, Government of Nepal has prioritized it as program of national pride, that is Rashtra Gaurav Ka Yojana. In 2013, a budget is allocated in every fiscal year for President Chure Conservation Program, and in this latest budget speech, it is I think of 1.53 billion that has been dedicated to this program. And Government of Nepal has declared Chure landscape as environment EPA, that is Vatavaran Samrakshan Kshetra in 2014, and formed a board to look after it separately, that is again in 2014. So now National Forest Policy and FSS Forest Sector Strategy has emphasized on silvicultural system based SFM to enhance the forest productivity on Chure Hills. And now according to FRA research, if according to the third National Forest Inventory, and if compared to other physiographic regions, Chure there is about 23% forest coverage in Chure. That makes up 1.37 million hectare. And if compared inside Chure, then there is 72.37 forest coverage and 1.19% other land, and the forest coverage of Chure is found to be decreasing. And altogether 9 types of forest, including Kharsiso forest, Sal forest, and many other forests there are in Chure. I will discuss it in detail in discussion part. And about 83.47% land area of Chure is covered by forest, shrubland, and grassland. It is according to the Chure Master Plan. Chure Master Plan has been drafted in 2017, and Chure Master Plan has been drafted in 2017, and it paves a way to conserve Chure for next 20 years. Now, out of the total area covered by forest, 24% is under PA system, and 76% is managed by community-based forest management regime in Chure. And obviously, speaking of its vulnerability, more than 1/3 of the Chure region is highly susceptible. It is susceptible to any kind of disaster, and 40% of its region is susceptible to landslide. And among the total number of 281 tree species found in Chure region, Sal is the most dominant species, followed by Asna, but generally the productivity is very low. It's according to DFRS, then DFRS, now FRTC. The main objective of Chure forest management is to recharge water and control soil erosion and produce forest goods and services. And adoption of different silvicultural system depends mostly on object of management status of growing stock, regeneration status, demanded product, and many more. So my general objective now come to objective. Now general objective of my term paper was to review the application of suitable silvicultural system in Chure Hills. So my methodology was obviously secondary data. I have gone through national workshop on silviculture, their proceedings, their President Chure board annual report, their master plan, and even SARC website. So now come to result and discussion. There was this result and discussion has been adapted from the first ever national silviculture workshop that was conducted in February 2017 under the theme of silviculture for sustainable forest management. And this workshop has recommended certain silviculture system based on forest, and especially based on slope that can be clearly seen here. For Kharsiso forest, clear filling with natural regeneration supplied by artificial plantation of sisal is recommended. For Sal forest, in 0 to 8.5 degree coppice standard, where sufficient sapling exists, otherwise shelter wood system. In 8.5 to 19 degree steep clear filling or shelter wood system, a greater than 19 degree selection system is recommended. In tropical mixed hardwood forest, it is recommended that coppice with standard of slope of 18 degrees. It is coppice with standard till 19 degree. Up to 90 degree, it is coppice with standard or shelter wood system, and above that selection system till 31 degree, and no harvesting above 31 degree. In lower mixed hardwood forest, again, canopy should be open to light to pass, and coppice with standard or shelter wood system is recommended till 19 degree, and above 19 degree up to 31 degree, it is selection system that is recommended. And pine forest, obviously selection system with natural regeneration is recommended. Now, in case of community forest, selection system with protected oriented protection-oriented regime should be applied in various community forests in Surya region. But in general practice, it can be clearly found that there is irregular shelter road system, and Pokhrel and his team and reported that inadequate silviculture practices led to a large part of forest unchanged, and its vulnerability of fragile ecosystem is further aggravated by human intervention, which can be clearly seen in present context of Nepal. And clearing for forest for cultivation or exploitation of timber and many other human action have resulted rapidly changing the face of this Surya region. All the forests situated on the terrain with less than 8.5 degree are managed by preparing an action plan on the basis of appropriate silviculture system so as to increase the forest productivity. It is according to Surya Master Plan, obviously. All the forests outside the protected area are managed by adopting appropriate forest improvement system on the basis of slopeliness of terrain. Priority has given to the forest within the river system selected for management. Now come to conclusion recommendation. Due to importance and vulnerability of Surya landscape, Government of Nepal has prioritized it as a program of national plan and budgetary allocated. It have been already discussed. Major silviculture system. So what can be found? Major silviculture system that are applicable in Surya forest are clear failing with natural regeneration and shelter system. But in some cases also shelter road system has been there is recommendation of even shelter road system. There should be a greater coordination among stakeholder and line agencies because lack of negotiation among actors is the main constraint for promoting silviculture in Surya. It means there must be when our country has already entered into federalism, there must be proper coordination among every level of government along with various ministries, that is Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock Development, along with Ministry of Forest and Environment, according to and NPC and many other up to the ground level. Conservation of Surya region is only possible through a multi-stakeholder, multidisciplinary as well as multidimensional effort, and preparation and use of standard silviculture operation guideline is needed for the successful application of silvicultural practices, especially in Surya hills. So these are my references. So thank you. Queries and suggestions are highly recommended. Are highly welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sulabh. You just finished exactly on within your time limit. That is 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
Sir.
well done.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll discuss on the overall presentations and any specific comments towards the end of the
okay, sir.
Presentations today. So it's turn for, I think, Nisa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Can I share my screen?
Start, sure.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone present here. Good afternoon, everyone present here. So I would like to start my presentation. And
you can go to slides overview.
Yes, sir, I am going to. Welcome, everyone. So the topic of my term paper is application of suitable silviculture system in mid-hills of Nepal. The contents are these and the background. Nepal's mid-hill regions has rugged to steep terrain with elevations ranging from, excuse me, sir, please, Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's fine. We can.
Nepal's mid-hill regions has rugged to steep terrain with elevations ranging from 700 to 3,000 meters altitude. One of the most intensively cultivated and settled regions of Nepal is mid-hills region. As population fluctuates, so does the forest agriculture interface, and some areas of current forest have grown up on previously terraced agricultural land, said by Springate Bangiski. Harvesting, regenerating, and tending of young crops are the major silvicultural operations, satisfying multiple forest resource demands on forest resource and preventing abuse of forest ecosystem and diminution of its capacity stands the main stance of silvicultural systems literature review. The middle hills occupy the central strip along the axis, forming a deeply desiccated plateau with steep-sided valleys running in both north, south, and east-west directions, majorly comprised of schema castanopsis forest with pine forest in the southern parts of the hills. This specifically achieves the specific stand structure characteristics to meet site objectives during the whole life of a stand. This program of treatment integrates specific harvesting, regeneration, and stand tending methods to achieve a predictable yield of benefits from stand over time. Silvicultural operations have significant role in promoting higher regeneration as dictated by Bonko Jankari. Moving on with objectives, to analyze the present scenario of different forest types in hills of Nepal and prescribing the appropriate silvicultural system for hills of Nepal. Moving on with methodology, secondary data sources were uses from newspapers to journals to books to news reports. Moving on with results and discussions, the hills forest of Nepal comprises with hillsal forest in the lower region. Moving on with schema Castonopsis forest, cheer pine and blue pine forest, following it pine forest, and then oak forest, and lastly Alnos nepalensis forest. Moving on, hillsal forest, it is present in the lowermost region of hilly terrain. Management objectives carries from timber to pole in the forest condition where there is multiple class to even sized forest. Improvement failing and selection failing is prescribed. Sal is also a good copicer, hence pole can also be retrieved from sal. Copies with standard and copies with reserve as well as celtiwood system can also be applied. Moving on with schema Castonopsis forest, management objective retrieves to be ecosystem functions, domestic products, agro implements, litters, fireworks, etc. Forest condition normally it comprises of the young, dense, even-aged, matured, and non-matured forest. Not matured forest. We can prescribe simple copies forest system, copies with standard, copies with two rotation, celtiwood, and selection. Moving on. Cheer pine forest and blue pine natural forest. Management objective comes under management objectives has timber, waters, and watershed services, while the forest conditions is mildly multiple age class and even age class with matured forest and no regeneration at many places. We can prescribe improvement failing to selection failing and as well as celtiwood system. Next, we have pine plantation forest. The management objective retrieves to be timber, fuel wood, and other domestic purposes. Forest condition has slightly homogeneous forest condition where no regeneration and mixed species can be found. Adjoining broadleaf forests are also found in some patches, as well as matured pine forests are also found. We can prescribe a
prioritized by Department of Forest and Soil Conservation, which can be seen in its annual reports, and government allocates budget for this purpose too. Plantation is very essential to rehabilitate very sensitive and degraded areas. Not only that, the concept of plantation has also been incorporated in urban forestry to promote greenery and tourism. Nepal has immense prospects of carbon trading to regenerate and generate the extra revenue from plantation activities. RED has been carrying out the plantation activities in Nepal to mitigate the climate change impacts. Fiscal year 2007-677 was declared as the afforestation year that has targeted to plant 50 million plant species throughout Nepal, which clarifies that Nepal government is prioritizing plantation activities. Churay is a fragile region and erosion is haphazard in Churay region, which can be controlled through plantation activities. There are 7,864 leasehold forests in Nepal. These degraded land rehabilitation and recovery of these forests can be carried out only through the plantation. These are the major plantation program conducted in Nepal. Sagarnath Forest Development Program 2035-36, where 11,000 hectares were used for plantation. Rotuamai Plantation Project. Nepalganj Forest Development Project Kohalpur, Chautara Forest Development Project, Integrated Rural Development Project in 6th 5-year Plan and Leasehold Forestry Act 2049, Hill Forest Development Project 2040-41, Private Forest Farm Forestry 1985 by Butwal Plywood, Tisian Plantation in Torai species was Siso only and provenance trail of Siso at Adabar. Torai Sea of Project launched in 1984 covered 13 districts, targeted 26,000 hectares, achieved 19,260 hectares, including 13,500 hectare private plantation.
departmental plantation of 2,250 hectare, road canal 2,900 hectare agroforestry, Pakribas Agricultural Research Center, Siso Guras, Paikos, Kutis, Kotesolu, Gobresolu, Ukhar, Katus, Bakaino Sal on trial planting, Tamagadi Tonga plantation 1976 to 1989, more than 50 families were benefited. Sea of plantation of more than 50,000 hectares supported by Nepal, Australia Forestry Project and Sea of Development Project in Hills. Moreover, the willingness of the people towards plantation has increased through agroforestry. It is found that the plantation with proper study of natural condition and proper facilitation of the technical seems to be a success, whereas the mass plantation by community themselves without proper supervision of technical are not found successful, as people are unknown about the environment, social conditions, and behavior of the plant species. So proper knowledge about the site and supervision should be created at farmer level. Both the government and private sector investment should be encouraged, because the returns from the plantation are subject to a variety of long-term risks, ranging from price collapse to natural calamities, as well as having long payback periods. It is essential that government provide the necessary incentives to the communal and private sector with the proper control. These are the references from where I have gathered all the informations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Rupesh, are you back? No, I don't think he is. रिपेसको बत्ती गएको छ के छैन मैले सुजनको मलाई होस्ट आएछ है मैले रेकर्ड गरेको छु त म यो उसलाई शेयर गराउन आयुषले गरेको छ हैन अगाडिको आयुषको पनि प्रब्लम आएको छ त्यही भएर मलाई आएको अहिले आयो जोइन भएछ आयुष है
रेकर्ड गर्दै छु सर मैले
ए हो त्यो ए ल ल उसो मैले उ गर्दै त्यही त नि हुन्छ उसो भए के गर्ने हाम्रो 12 जनाको है रिपेस सहित है
आजलाई यति गर्ने सर
कम्प्लिट भएको छैन त्यही 2 घण्टा भयो हैन सो मलाई लाग्छ वी क्यान फिनिश इन 2 आवर्स टुमोरो हैन सो बीचमा एकजना हाम्रो सुशीला भट्टजी उहाँ मिस हुनुभयो उहाँलाई खबर गर्नुस्
हेलो सर आई एम रेडी टु प्रेजेन्ट यु
ए
इफ यु डोन्ट माइन्ड
हजुर हुन्छ के छ साथीहरुलाई
बीचमा एक दुई जना छुट्नु भएको छ नि त्यसको उसलाई भोलिलाई भन्दा आज गरौँ कि
हो हुन्छ
हुन्छ सुभाषले गर्दा हुन्छ
ठीक छ म उसो भए स्टप गर्छु रेकर्डिङ आइसले कन्टिन्यु गरेर है
हुन्छ सर मैले
12 जनाको भयो 12 जनाको भयो
रिपेसको बाँकी छ भन्नु न 11 जनाको भयो आइस अझ एकजनाले गर्दा ठिकै हुन्छ
म गर्छु सर ल
ओके हुन्छ सुभाषजी गर्नुस् तपाईँ पनि उसमै हो रोल क्रम अनुसार तपाईँको पालो
हजुर
के छैन
नत्र आजको फिडब्याक आजै आउन पाएको भए हुन्थ्यो सर भोलि
हैन दिने हो अहिले अब जेनरल फिडब्याक आउँछ हैन हुन्छ
I believe I was disconnected.
Oh, Rupesh is also back. So, okay.
How? I finished my presentation and suddenly I realized that I was disconnected.
Really? Yeah. Actually, Susan has already, just finished his presentation. As you disconnected. के गर्ने सुभाषले त्यसपछि गर्दा हुन्छ रिपेसले कन्टिन्यू गर्छ हैन
ओके सर नो वरी
ओके
Can anyone tell me how long did I went into my presentation before I was disconnected? Or should I start from the beginning?
So you can show slides and we can tell on which slide you were. So
all right.
You can continue from there.
Was I in methodology? Was I in literature review? Was I here?
You can present. No, we can't see your screen. First, you have to share.
All right. The internet and electricity here is so symbolic.
Yeah, no, it's same everywhere.
So where was I?
Yeah, I think you can start from here.
Start from here, okay.
Yeah.
There are different types of forest stand models. And statistical models incorporate algebraic equations. Hybrid models are the hybrid between statistical and process-based models. Similarly, there is also gap models. There is also gap models. Gap models are actually the quantifiers of complex ecological processes that occur in a system. Similarly, process models generally predict tree growth by representing fundamental physiological processes like stomatal conductance, respiration, and carbon allocation. We need to understand what tree mortality is actually to proceed. Tree mortality is a rare and episodic event, but it is really significant. It has significant implications for growth and yield predictions. Tree mortality is of two kinds. Regular mortality is density dependent and self-thinning. Self-thinning, as the theory states, that forest stands also implement some sort of self-thinning mechanism. That's why there are a large number of seedlings in the initial stage of forest stand. And when seedlings go into saplings, the number decreases. Similarly, when saplings go into pole, the number decreases through the competition-induced self-thinning. Irregular mortality are density independent, and they rely on external factors like sudden wind, sudden fire, sudden rainfall can also bring about mortality of trees. Similarly, increment is the difference between tree stands of dimensions among one period to the next. Yield is the net volume of wood present at any given age of period. Growth is the final dimension from one point to the next. Similarly, let me take you to literature review. Major forest management decisions require growth and yield information, but at minimum, standard development model must represent growth and mortality. Growth and mortality is what we are going to discuss in this presentation. Standable models help to forecast forest condition, growth, and yield. And not only that, it also helps us to update our forest inventories, databases, and to help us to make even and uneven as standable decisions, national and regional management decisions. And the paradigm is shifting, and the science has become so advanced that nowadays researchers are focusing on not only modeling the growth and volume databases, but also growth efficiency and moisture stress, and also the factors of climate change, variables of climate change to predict mortality. The objectives of my paper included the compilation of models of tree mortality and yield for unfinished stand. Similarly, the specific objectives were to review the implications of various models for unfinished stand and to explore the current status and applicability of such model in our country. Methodology, of course, comprises of the databases, secondary databases that were gathered from the internet sources. Let me take you to the more complex part of my presentation, which are the findings. There are individual tree models. Individual tree models simulates each tree as a basic unit and uses multiple algebraic equations and algorithms to quantify these databases. They are generally of distance dependent and independent types. Distance dependent models require spatial databases, and distance independent models do not require spatial databases like tree coordinates. Implication is that it requires detailed information. It provides detailed information. However, since it requires higher level of variables and detailed level of variables, there are high chances of errors. This is the general process for individual tree mortality, as suggested by Jerome Banker in 2011. He is a professor in the School of Forest Sciences in Southern Cross University, Australia, and he published. He is consistently publishing these growth model related books and materials. And we can see initial stand where mortality, diameter, and height increment are the factors. And recruitment new seedlings are also the factors. What we need to do is we need to integrate these variables into complex algebraic model and simulations. Then we need to simulate for the time period we need to predict the final stand, and the output will be available. Similarly, for the models of tree mortality, holy stand level model is also used for modeling tree mortality. It follows 3/2 power law of self-thinning. The 3/2 power law theory of self-thinning says that a maximum size density relation independent of age and site quantity exists for forest stand, and the slope of the relationship is -1.5 when the logarithm of the mean plant weight is regressed against the logarithm of number of trees. Similarly, it is important to predict competition-induced mortality. It considers only regular or competition-induced mortality. That's why it has less chances of error. It does not account for the damages by, per se, insect, wind, rainfall, etc. Stand level model processes, this is given by Allen in 2020. If there is a stand data, if there is a variety of stand data at certain time, let's say time I, then we need to follow the left part of the slide, since this is for unthin stands. We do not need to account for density reduction to thinning, because unthin stand do not have thinning silviculture interventions. Similarly, the contemporary researches that have been conducted in this topic says that stand level mortality for Nordic boreal forest was conducted by Silviculture in 2020, and he suggested that these stand level models are good fit concerning stand density and developmental stages. However, they are only satisfying fit in case of data sets of unmanaged sparse stands. Allen in 2020 conducted a comparative study in thin and unthinned sparse forest in Norway, and he found out that thinning reduces basal area growth. And it also increases basal area growth, but reduces competition-related mortality. And cross-validation of the model was done for effectiveness tests, and it was found that unbiased and good performance was seen for the data range. Studying the patterns of individual tree-based mortality, now individual tree-based mortality was conducted by Salas in 2020, and he found out that it is really effective. Tree mortality in the dynamics of managed and uneven, again, Norway sparse in southern Finland was connected, and single tree selection approach was deemed crucial for research and management. Similarly, we need to explore, another objective in my research was to explore the status of tree mortality in yield models in Nepal. And it is a symbolic state. It is a bit sad to say that no models for predicting survival or mortality at individual tree level stage are available in Nepal. There is one model available that was prepared by Rotanian in 1991 for Soria Robusta forest for stand level cell thinning, but it is the only existing model that is available in our country. Models for stand level cell thinning and tree level survival are among 5 specific models and components that are said to be deficient in even the national level forest resource assessment activities of our country. And the DFRS in State of Nepal's Forest Report 2014 proudly writes that permanent plots were established in all physiographic regions for rate plus measurement and verification process. And it is a good start, because for us to quantify growth and tree models, for us to actually build up equation, we need time series data. We need data that are available from time to time. For let's say 5 years gap, 10 years gap, we need such data. So permanent plots, establishing permanent plots for remeasurement is a good start. At the subnational and institutional level, the basis for sustainable forest management, such as growth models, local volume tables, are not available in Nepal. This was the conclusion of a research conducted by Baral in 2018. IFTU did establish monitoring plots for modeling diameter increment and stand level cell thinning or mortality at experimental scale, which is a good start. And a few researches are also being conducted, like individual tree basal area growth models were designed for cheer pine in Western Nepal by Gewali in 2015. Here are my conclusions and recommendations. Stand level models for cell thinning are simple and effective, but they are not totally inclusive of all the factors and parameters and all the variables that exist in the forest stand. Individual tree models of mortality are well inclusive, but complex and error prone. And there is a lack of both models in national and subnational levels in our country. So my recommendations are development of tree mortality and yield models through experimental research should first be conducted, and then it should be incorporated into FRA, forest resource assessment, and sustainable forest management practice of our country. And these are my references. My presentation is about done. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Rupesh. And yes, I think now Subhas.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, am I audible? Audible, sir?
Yeah, yes, you are audible and your slides are visible, so you can start.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank our MSc coordinator, Yogendra sir, and our Silviculture module coordinator, Sanjeev sir. And good afternoon, everyone. My topic was forest plantation in Nepal. And without delaying any second, I just want to move my presentation. The outline of my presentation is like this: introduction, objective, methods, findings and discussion, conclusion, references. Okay, let's move on to introduction. Okay, what is plantation forest? Forest composed of trees established through planting and through deliberate seeding of native or introduced species. This is the definition of plantation forest. And what defines the plantation forest? That is the human control of regeneration is the basic criteria which define the plantation forest. Okay, forest plantation cover about 140 million hectares globally, which is about 4% of the global forest area. Plantation began in the New Old in the 16th and 17th century. In the context of Nepal, in Nepal, afforestation and reforestation program was started in 1970s to restore the denuded hills, which motive was to restore the degraded forest. And large-scale plantation in the hilly regions of Nepal were initiated from the early 1980s. And the main cause of damage in Southeast Asia is burning, which results in the degradation of forest to grassland. This focus on the importance of the plantation forest. Due to the forest fire, there have been degradation of various forests. So to restore the particular forest, degraded forest, there is the need and role of plantation. Now let's move on to objective. My general objective was to overview the forest plantation in Nepal, and my specific objectives were to know the status of plantation forest in Nepal, factors affecting productivity of plantation forest, management issues in plantation forest of Nepal. This is my methods. My study was based on secondary data, and for that I used the internet sources, and I searched various relevant reports on Google, and I used the Google Scholar website also to download various relevant articles related to my term paper. And from that particular articles, I reviewed them and I extracted the data which are relevant to my study. Now let's move on to findings and discussion. Plantation in Nepal. Extensive plantation were started from the early 80s. In Nepal, mostly community plantation has been practiced. This is the major plantation of Nepal, in which local people have been participating in the various plantation programs organized by the various organizations, Divisional Forest Office. This is mainly practiced in Nepal. With the large-scale plantation commenced in the early 1980s, nearly 370,000 hectares of plantations have been successfully established in Nepal. Tarai Community Forestry Program had done extensive cultivation with various kinds of species like local sisal, eucalyptus, and teak in late 80s. Some of the major plantation projects of Nepal: Sagarmatha Forest Development Project, Nepalganj Forest, Hill Forest Development, Ratamwai Plantation Project, Chautara Forest Development Project, Tamagadi Tongia Plantation, Chilia Tea Plantation, Nepal Austria Forest Project, Rubber Plantation. These were the major plantation projects of Nepal which have been playing a role in restoring the degraded forest. They have been producing the various wood products. Now let's move on to plantation species in Nepal. Mostly fast-growing species are preferred for the plantation in Nepal. These are the plantation species in Nepal. Out of them also, Dalbergia sisal, Tectona grandis, Eucalyptus camalduensis, Populus deltus were mostly preferred. Now let's move on to factors affecting productivity of the plantation forest. The main factors which affect the productivity of plantation forest are climate, species, and provenance selection, soil condition, and management. Factor limiting plantation development include the harsh tropical climate, long dry periods, generally poor soils, small local market, competition with other industries. Silviculture approaches like weeding, thinning, pruning can be done for the better production of the plantation forest. Now comes the management issues. What are the management issues in plantation forest of Nepal? The major management issue is the site protection. We mostly do plantation in the degraded area, but we do not focus on the protection of that particular site. and which definitely shows the failure of the plantation in Nepal. Next one is the encroachment and grazing is the anthropogenic activities which have been affecting the plantation. Next one is seed sources. Due to the low quality of the seed, the seedling produce will be also the low, which will definitely decrease the quality of the plantation forest also. And there will be next one is no hardening of. Due to this, there will be a higher percent of the mortality and the production of the plantation forest will decrease, and which definitely hurts the economic outcomes from that particular forest. Next one is even age monoculture crops of the trees. This is also the practice mostly in Nepal, which might degrade the plantation forest if some kind of pest or diseases might infest that particular crops. Next one is conclusion. Plantation is contributing multiple benefits to people from aesthetic to livelihood improvement. Eucalyptus species, pine species, Tectona grandis, acacia are abundantly found plantation species in Nepal. Fiscal year 2019-20 as the year of plantation, which promote the plantation in Nepal. One house, one tree, one village, one forest, and one city. Many parks concept also has promoted the plantation in Nepal. Government of Nepal has also announced June 29 as the National Forest Plantation Day, which definitely promotes the plantation in Nepal. And monoculture type of the plantation has been mostly practiced. The main factors are the climate, species, and provenance selection. Soil condition has not been considered in most of the plantation area to regulate productivity of plantation forest. Hence, there is a need of sustainable plantation productivity, which leads to the social, economic, and environmental benefits to mankind. Okay, these are the references for my presentation. And thank you. Any queries are highly welcome. Love your life and plant more trees. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Subhas, for your presentation.
Welcome, sir.
And I think you can, yeah, pull off your slides. I think, Yogendra, sir. So yeah. I think it's time to conclude today's presentation. So if you have any general or specific comments on today's presentation, please feel free. Otherwise, I have noted few common general points which I'll share, and then we can conclude for today, and then we continue tomorrow. So we have
yes, Sanjit.
Yes, please.
Yes, Sanjit. First of all, thank you all of you for your nice presentation, because it's time your first time to review the different type of paper. So big congratulations. I found most of the slide or presentation is well management, but delivered in so many texts or lengthy. So I suggest to you arrange in simply bullet form and described in text or if you need. And also most of citation of reference is not a rule. First is another, and then after another, then after another. You arrange same norms to cite a different type of reference. And also and objective should be assigned according to your topic is best, and not more than 2 or more. It is, I think, in review paper, most of one objective your just review, and I suggest just objective is explore and documented. Explore and documented literature. And in your methodology part, most of all of you are very nice, very good arrangement. And just in review paper, I found it is based on a review of existing literature. The collected documents were reviewed and categorized into your topic or assignment. So just and almost object methodology is same. Published or unpublished book, literature journal, it is etc. And another your findings and discussion parts. You should interlinked of introduction to findings, and one authors are said another form and other are and other ways and other are other ways. And what is your conclusion based on your so many literature you cited? So it is very carefully in discussion part, and some of are well in conclusion parts, not in bullet 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. What is the main conclusion according to your more than 40 or 30 plus or 20 plus in the sense of plantation in Chure Hills? Most of the tree like tectona, siso, khair, etc. are planted. Most of the which species was more survival rate, or you recommended, you should recommended it according to your review of different kinds of literature. Overall, most of are well organized. So little bit I just suggestion and comments for you. And next the forum is hand over to our respected sir Sanjeev sir.
Okay, thank you, Yogen sir, for your very constructive feedback and general observation. So I have also met. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you, those who presented today, and I think you all did very nice job. The presentations, they were very varied. So some of you have, also copied some part of the lecture, and also some of you have done very, in-depth research and also analyzed secondary data. So there are, there are a range of ways that you presented, but that is fine. And we also covered, very important topics like plantations and scientific forest management, and also silviculture system modeling, which are very, very important and very crucial. And I think in present, discussion, contemporary discussion, as we, every day we listen, those issues related to, silviculture system in Syria and scientific forest management, I think they are all important. So I'm not going to more detail on the topic specific, but in general, I think you all did a very nice job, but there are certainly, always spaces for improvement. So I'm just highlighting what could have been done, or what you can do better in the next, maybe next term paper in your next module. So I'll just share one brief slide so that you can see my points. I could have explained also in orally, but I think it is, I think you can remember well once you see, So hopefully you can see my text. So I have, listed mostly 2 points. So one is like scientific names. So at least 3 of your colleague have, a scientific name like this. So you should have, italicized. I think this is very basic consideration. So that is not, I'm not going to highlight, we all know. Then on citation, I have, Yugen sir already, highlighted, but I have noted few of those. So for example, this is not a proper way of citing, you could have improved it. I know you know it, but maybe you missed it, or you just, I don't know, you didn't have much time to improve it further, but you should have, considered to improve it. And also this map, I'm not sure if you have prepared yourself from secondary data, or you have copied it from somewhere. So if you have copied, or you should have, had that citation, or if you had used secondary data, you should have cited to the secondary source, data source, I don't know, Department of Survey or something like that. So these are very specific, and this is also important. So this, you see, you said like 4% of global forest area, but it was in 2005. So it was from study in 2005, and during the last 15 years, it might have changed. So also in other papers, this is just an example. So you should try to find, as recent information and data as possible, because there are so many online data sources, databases that you can access this kind of information, like, FAO statistics, or there is a database maintained by ITTO and also, World Bank. So please try to, consult references as recent as possible, because, those data and information, they changes, it changes very rapidly. So that is one part. And then finally, to improve, I think many of you have already done very well. But rather than just, presenting facts and figures as it is from secondary sources, I think a couple of you have done, you should also try to analyze, your the secondary data. So collect data like raw data from secondary sources and analyze and interpret in your own way. It doesn't have to be very very advanced, but in basic, you have already seen at least from a couple of your friends. So that way you can add value to your, to your term paper. And I think, Yogen sir, I was wondering if we can organize a specific, I don't know, 1-2 days, of course, because there are also tools you can use, like you might have aware of this meta-analysis, So through meta-analysis, what you can do, it means is analyzing the published literature and published data. So if you are, studying plantation, so you collect literature systematically related to plantation, and then you analyze data, on those literature. So it is called, meta-analysis. That is analysis of analysis. So analysis, above analysis. So I think by using meta-analysis, you can, even publish your term paper, your review article. So that is something I think we need to build capacity on, Yogen sir, to our students. And I think if it's feasible, I can facilitate. There are so many tools, freely available tools that you can use to extract data from secondary literature and then analyze those and publish and on your own way. So that is very well-established way to present and publish. So I think that is general observation for today. And for tomorrow, you can consider these points and improve your presentations. And also we missed Sushila Bhatta. So if you can, if you are in touch with her, please remind her to join us tomorrow, and then we'll continue tomorrow. I don't know if you have any specific question or any points for tomorrow, feel free. Otherwise, I think we have already been here more than 2 hours. So I think it's time to wrap up for today. So, के छ महालक्ष्मीजीले के भन्नु खोज्नु भएको छ? Microphone on mute देखेर भनेको. Muna?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. अनि त्यो टर्म पेपरमा स्पेसिफिक किनभने यसमा जेनरल कमेन्ट भयो हैन, टर्म पेपरको स्पेसिफिक चाहिँ म सबैकोमा म कमेन्ट गरेर पठाउँछु. So you'll get individual comments also on your term paper later on.
Thank you, sir.
That is for on your on your subject matter.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
so have a nice day, nice evening, and see you tomorrow same time. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Okay.